Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Lions Den podcast here midweek. Talk about everything Club Leon in English. Yeah, midweek, Louis. We're here to talk about everything Club Leon the past two games because we have lots to talk about. So everybody joining us via YouTube and Periscope on Twitter, hello, welcome. Feel free to consider this Fiera safe space to, if you agree with us, disagree, give your opinion, anything. We'll definitely share your comments on the screen and keep the conversation going. So, Louis, how are we feeling today?
Yeah. Well, obviously that win against Tijuana was a breath of fresh air. Though, I mean, I don't think they could have done anything aside from like a 6-0 blowout or something like that to make us think that they were back. That this is the title contending team we all expected to see from match day one. But we needed a breath of fresh air. We got it. Took care of business in what wasn't always a pretty performance, but they did what they had to do against Sobre el Papel, a worse team. They took care of business at home after a really frustrating for a number of reasons match in Monterrey, which I was present for. And they came home, and there's still a lot of things that this team needs to work on, needs to get better at. If they're going to have any hope of being in the conversation at the end of the season. But it was certainly a breath of fresh air, much needed 3 points. And, hopefully the best they can do is build off of that, get another win this Friday against another rival that's kind of, in the same general area in the standings, but sobre el papel, again, an inferior opponent. So, yeah, I mean, I'm feeling like, okay, show me more. That was okay. That was good. Not great. It was what we needed. Show me more. And I hope they do. We were talking about a possible 7 points out of these most recent 9 available. They still have a chance to get 6. I think that would still be. I mean, that would, especially with Chivas's loss now being confirmed. Getting another 3 points would put us ahead of them on goal differential, would shoot us all the way up to 6th or 7th or something like that. So considering how we started the season, I think that's with still, a little less than half of the season to go. There's still, that's better than we could have expected, and still room to keep on climbing. But yeah, I'm definitely in show me more mode right now. I mean, this team has not been what we expected them to be, and one narrow win at home against Xolos is not going to change that. But it's better than a loss or a draw. It's better than dropping points. Now just keep it rolling. That's where I'm at.
Tell me a little bit about what the atmosphere was like at that game, because I saw that not a lot of people were going. Were they giving like boletos de cortesía to some people to actually show up?
They were not giving boletos de cortesía. They did. I mean, the prices for this match were, I think they reduced them a little bit from what they were originally going to be at the start of the season. I think they reduced like each section down by maybe like 100 pesos or something like that. Yeah. I was surprised, honestly. I thought this game would have been given everything that's happened, this game would have been a perfect opportunity, a perfect moment for a dos por uno. Sometimes they do that when the team's not going great, or they don't think it's going to fill up because of the opponent or whatever. I think this would have been a perfect opportunity I was surprised they didn't do it. And I'll tell you, when I record my pregame videos around 45 minutes before game time, there's usually a lot more people in the stands than there were. And I was thinking, man, this is not going to fill up even close to what we're used to. Like even in some of the lean years, it still filled up more than that. But poco a poquito, it started to fill up, and I think the final attendance was better than I expected. There were a few sections that were not filled even close, but it filled up more than I thought it would. And the crowd, once we scored and it looked like we were going to win, I mean, the crowd kind of got into it. It doesn't take much for the crowd to get back behind this team, and it does take quite a bit for the fans to I mean, they never really abandon the team, but to be less amped up about them especially considering everything that's happened over the past ever since Larcamon got here. There's been a lot of hubbub surrounding this team, but this this just hasn't been a great season. So I was when I first got there, I was like, okay, I'm going to record my pregame video. There's basically nobody around. I'm going to have to amp myself up and create my own energy. But by kickoff, it was fuller than I expected it to be. And again, it doesn't take much. The team just has to show a little something, and the fans are back behind them. I mean, we're not a fair weather fan kind of franchise. I mean, this is a grassroots provincial kind of club. I mean, we have to fight and claw and tooth and nail for every sort of right to being thought of as having any sort of grandeza in this club. I mean, it doesn't come organically. We have to fight and tooth and nail for every bit of it. And so this isn't a fan base that lets go of that easily. But I mean, it's understandable. Like, do people really want to spend their hard-earned money and invest their time in a team that's playing this way? And I get it. But luckily, again, at the end, the atmosphere was more amped up than I expected it to be. And I was pleased to see that.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. I think compared to other teams, like, yeah, we get frustrated. And like you said, I mean, it hasn't been a brilliant season, hasn't been a total bad one, but we've had definitely some bad results depending on the game. But I think you brought up a good point that we won't ever turn on our team. And like you said, it doesn't take much. If we see like a spark of like improvement or like, okay, like they're gonna get you're gonna get it together and blah blah blah, then yeah, the crowd will show up. Which I think that's one of the things I love about the fan base for the most part. I mean, luckily you get to go to all the home games, so you get to kind of see that from a first hand. So
yeah, and every home match has a little bit of a different vibe to it. And this one, again, like I said, it looked like it was going to be pretty kind of a downer. It was going to be kind of a downer, and it wasn't. And then luckily por la mínima, but the club responded.
Mm-hmm.
They did their part, and we did ours.
Definitely. Just talking about, because obviously what we've seen in the past couple games is lesiones. I saw on Twitter that Omar is injured with a desgarro en el abductor. Tecillo obviously is injured as well with a desgarro en el posterior. Obviously, to that list is Plátano, Barreiro, and Borja, and apparently Ivan is off of that list. So we do have a lot of, injuries around that.
Yeah. Luckily, I think Avion Ramirez has played very, very well in Ivan's spot. That was the one that was probably had us most concerned.
Yeah.
Because we just always felt like we had that ever since Ivan got here. We felt like that spot's been locked down, and what a huge loss it would be if he ever had to miss time. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start against. He'll probably come in and play. He'll probably come off the bench, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't start. Even though I did hear the same thing you did, that he's training completely al parejo with the rest of the club. He's not, he no restrictions, anything like that. I heard the same about Borja, and that was intriguing to me. I hope Borja was starting to. I think Borja was slowly but surely starting to convince Larcamon of his capabilities. I mean, I think this is a guy that Larcamon didn't ask for. We talked about this. Like he's a guy Larcamon didn't know and much less ask for, and they just brought him in anyway. And he didn't seem to be convincing him. But poco a poquito, I think he had some good minutes against America. I can't remember which other matches he got significant minutes, but he was starting to convince Larcamon. And honestly, I'd rather see him get minutes over Omar Fernandez. I just don't think this has not been a fruitful return to Leon for Omar Fernandez. And some would argue, I thought his first paso por este club was better than most people did. But this return just hasn't. I mean, there really hasn't been. There hasn't been much.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see Borja get those minutes. I hope he is healthy. Hope Ivan is healthy. If those guys don't start, maybe they can at least come in off the bench. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. And I was worried about Barreiro and Tecillo. Those guys are our anchors over the past few seasons. I was worried about what their absence might mean. I thought Paul Belon and Adonis, who's, I would have considered him titular indiscutible, but he hasn't had the greatest of seasons. He's been a little bit shaky, had some mental mistakes, not nearly as much of the piedra for us that he was, the rock on that back line that he was, especially throughout that Conca Champions run. But I thought both of them filled in admirably. It's nice to know we have depth, at least on the back line. Talking about Avion, talking about Belon, talking about Adonis. I would consider Adonis a starter when he's on form. He just hasn't been on form.
Yeah.
So, it's nice to know that Barreiro and Tecillo go down, and, I don't think those guys were the problem. If there was a problem to call out against Xolos, playing without our starting back line, those guys were, they filled in admirably. And, they should do so again against Querétaro. And then hopefully after that, hopefully at least, maybe not Tecillo. I think his injury might keep him out a little longer, but hopefully Barreiro might be available. Slowly we can work these guys back in, and in the meantime, it's nice to know we have guys who can fill in. We're a little shallow. We're a little shallow at other positions, left wing, but we at least we have some depth on that back line.
No, I think especially Belon. I think obviously he had those rough kind of starts, especially with the cards and whatnot. But I'm glad that he definitely, has defended himself as he is a great center back. So I'm glad that he's kind of coming back into his what we liked about him, right? And why he was, why he came to Leon, why his situation transpired the way it did, and the rest is history. So great for him. I haven't heard anything. I just saw the video clip of Angel Mena kind of limping out. So hopefully nothing there too serious. But
yeah, I hope Latano can come back. So he just keeps taking little knocks. I don't know exactly what's happening with him. I don't even hear that he's injured. Then he just
he
all of a sudden can't play. He disappears.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he can't play. When he's played, you kind of felt like this is really going to be his season. They signed him to a contract. They locked him up. They really thought of him as, part of the plan going forward, and then he just can't stay healthy, and it's frustrating. I really thought this was going to be his season. Hopefully he can come back from that and be a factor. We need all the creativity we can get in the attack. Big shout out, obviously, to El Toro Viñas, but he can't do everything on his own. He goes out there and gives it his all, and he's really winning over the afición. He's really winning over everybody. He's just going out there and playing his behind off, but he can't do it all. He just can't do it all.
That was going to be my next point of how are we, on what scale, are we putting Maraviñas at? Because como tú dices, se está ganando la afición. A mí también. And I was the one, I've said it on the pod and it's recorded, that I wasn't too sure of how he was going to adapt to Leon and whatnot, but I think he's proven me wrong, and it's great to see him out there.
Yeah, well, nobody knew we were getting. He was coming off a major injury, like he hadn't played for America. We weren't sure what we were going to get, but I was encouraged when I would hear America fans like talking about him, wishing that he was still there, like they didn't want to let him go. That's always good to hear when you're when the player you're getting a player and their former team is lambasting the front office for letting him leave. Like that's I always take that as a good sign, and that's kind of what we were getting with him. And I've been impressed. I just wish, my wish is like, obviously Diente has less time with the team. If he could come up to that same level, I think we really, really have something there up front. Like with those two, if Diente could come up and play with the same, as Viñas, I think we really have something up there. Obviously, it hasn't happened yet for Diente. He wasn't even in the starting lineup. I don't know if he was injured. They didn't say anything about an injury, or if that was just a coach's decision. Shout out to Santos, Sebastian. Is that his name? Sebastian Santos, the juvenil who played in his spot. Oh,
I love them.
Arturo Ruiz, who just said the same thing. Sebastian Santos playing in his spot had a really, really great game. It's funny. Like I felt like he was on the ball more than almost anybody in that entire match. The ball just seemed to find him. And, that always happened. Like here you go, kid. You're going to debutar, and of course the ball's going to find you more than anyone else. That's just kind of the way it goes. It's like in baseball, you're a defensive replacement in the outfield. Automatically, a line drive is hit your way. That's just the way it is, and that's kind of how it was for Sebastián Santos. And I felt like he did pretty well. I don't, maybe he can be an option going forward too. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have stiffer competition than Xolos, in the future, but we'll see. I was very encouraged by what I saw from him. He was on the ball, and he was on the ball more than anyone else, and he was not intimidated by it. So, but yeah, like Viñas, like he can't keep being asked to do everything. I mean, he's just everywhere doing everything, assisting, shooting, defending. Like he just can't. He shouldn't have to be doing that all on his own. I mean, so I'm hoping that we start to see that kind of energy from more members of the squad. It's not going to happen for everyone every night, but if we can start to see that Maraviñas energy from more of the team, I mean, I think we really got something here.
Yeah. Definitely. Looking at a graphic of Maraviñas, currently has 3 goals, 20 remates, 1v1, 4 of them, and balones ganados en la rival is 14th, which Liga MX BBVA said a jugador para seguir. So yeah, definitely. No, I agree. He can't do everything. What I'm hoping, and I'm going to his comment with Arturo Ruiz. Honestly, the Tldp is really disappointing. Such a hyped player, and he doesn't do much. What I'm waiting for Diente, obviously, I'm looking like into the future, porque obviamente no estaba contemplado before the season started. This was just like an out of the blue. Oh, this is a possibility. Oh, and the Larcamón wants him. Okay, cool. What I'm hoping is, this is like, when we're in Liguilla, that's where he comes in clutch in crucial situations. Pone como un Gigliotti, por decir que la temporada kind of lagged, but in important games, he comes through. That's what I'm hoping. Obviously, it's not like, oh, I want him to just lack off and not give us anything until the very end. But at least what I'm hoping to get out of him as he came in midseason, trying to adjust, he's not a starter, is okay, looking into the future, if we make Liguilla, have that type of important role for him to come in clutch in important games. So if you agree or disagree.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like one of those guys, once he gets a couple of goals under his belt, I think he'll a striker or an attacking player like him, someone who, I don't know if you consider him, just because of his characteristics, a traditional target man striker. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't. I think he's a little more I think he's a little more like of a false nine, a second striker, even he can play out wide even. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this is a guy who is used to, being called on to score for his team. When Gignac missed a bunch of time, he was the top scorer in the league, So I think he's the kind of striker, kind of forward, who needs to score to feel involved. And that's how a striker should be. I mean, you need to score. There need to be goals from that position. So I think once he gets a couple of goals under his belt, he didn't start against Xolos. I think that was, probably maybe a little bit of a message from Larcamón for him, like a little wake up call. Like, you're not going to start just because you're a big name, who came to our team. Mm-hmm. I mean, I expect him to start against Querétaro, but we'll see. We'll see. I think he needs to have a good effort, like a big time aportación, and before he starts to feel comfortable and really a part of the squad. But once that happens, I mean, I expect him to be big piece, and more he plays, and like you said, the bigger the spotlight, because he's a guy who's used to playing in big moments and playing under the spotlight. I mean, that just kind of goes with. I mean, if you're in the lineup regularly for Tigres, I mean, you're going to play in big matches. It's just the way that team is designed, So he already has a lot of that kind of experience, and hopefully, he can translate that to this squad. Takes time to get comfortable. Obviously, Viñas has adapted more quickly, and we're grateful for that.
Yeah.
But it might take Diente a little longer. But I think he needs to get a couple goals under his belt, and then he'll be right as rain. That's my prediction.
I agree. So I'm just looking at the tables. Go ahead and just look at the table and where we're at. So San Luis, Louis, is still in first place with 19 points. 19 points, al igual que La América has 18 points, or 1 point behind. And third place is Tigres with 17. Juárez in fourth with 15. So I mean, from fourth place to first place, it's 4 points. Atlas is igual con 15 puntos. They're in fifth. Pumas sixth with 15 points. Chivas, I don't know how Chivas is up there. I'm like literally, I'm like looking at this. I'm like, just lately, what I've seen has not, reflected where they're at. But
Well, they started the season with what was it, 3 or 4 straight wins?
yeah,
You
but they're
know, I mean, they.
only 3 points ahead of us,
I
literally.
know, and now we have a game in hand on them. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
If we
yeah,
beat Querétaro on Friday, we will pass them on goal differential.
yes,
So, yeah, it just goes to show how quickly the narrative can change in Liga MX. That's what I was saying. Like in my
definitely.
pregame video on in Cholas, everybody knows in our Querida Liga MX, all it takes is 2 or 3 matches for the narrative to completely change. That's why you never get too high or too low about your team in this
Yeah,
league.
yeah,
You know, when the champion is determined by Liguilla in the top 10, I think it's only going to be I actually still don't, I'm not sure if this season is still going to be the top 12 or if this season is already going to be only 10. I can't remember, but still, like when the top 10 teams get in, I mean, you're never out of it. And we've seen
yeah.
low seeded teams go a long way. I mean, if Leon stays right where they are, they got a chance at the title, which is, you can say what you will about whether that's a good or bad thing, but you never get too high or too low about your team. Being super leader means pretty much nothing.
Nothing. No,
Being
it
super
doesn't.
leader means that there's no CCL spot on the line for finishing, and like there is in MLS, for example. There's
Mhm.
no CCL spot on the line for having a good regular season finish. Well, occasionally there is, but rarely does that matter. Rarely does that factor in. And the super leader very rarely wins the title. So like there's no flowers for finishing high in the table, and there's no
Yeah,
reason to get too down on your team for finishing too low. You just have to be in the mix and you have to be in good form. So even if Leon's probably, I mean, they're probably too far behind to think about us being super líderes. I mean, I think they could probably still sneak into the top 4 if they have a good run.
hmm
Um, and obviously, sneaking into the top 4 uh, is an important goal to shoot for. But yeah, I just you never get too high or too low on this team. Hopefully, this can springboard Leon into 2 or 3 results in a row. Obviously, Chivas is in a downward spiral. They're still ahead of us, but I mean they're on terrible form right now. And yeah, it's just like win this Friday, you're right back in the thick of things. And it's important because after this Friday, I think we only have 2 or 3 away matches left in the season. I think we've played more than our fair share of away matches already. If I'm not mistaken, only at
let me
Santos and
see.
Cruz
So we're
Azul. Santos and Cruz Azul, I think, are only away matches left after Friday.
Puebla. You miss Puebla.
Oh, and Puebla. Okay, 3.
Yeah. So yeah, so we're away at Querétaro, then away at Santos, home to Toluca, home to Atlas, away at Cruz Azul, home to Pumas, away at Puebla, and then home to Juarez in the season.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. There's a lot of points to be had right there. I mean, Santos leak goals like nobody's business. You just saw them concede 5 to the worst team in the league at home. You know, that defense has been shaky for a while, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. That's a chance. That could be a chance for our offense that struggles to score to break out. And Cruz Azul is they're a dumpster fire.
They're dumpster fire. I was gonna say we need to cue a dumpster fire
They
at
are
one.
a dumpster fire. Puebla, like, I'm not scared of playing Puebla. Like, there's some points left. There's so many points left to be had on this table. If we can just get a little bit more contundentes, you know, there's
Yeah,
so many more points to be had on this table. I think we start playing like everyone expected us to, and if we can get healthy, like that's a big thing too. Yeah, I mean, I like that our depth, at least on the back line, is holding down the fort. But we got to be able to get healthy. If we can
yeah.
get healthy as the season goes around and start to play a little bit like we expected to play, there's so many points left to be had on this table. Anything can happen. Yeah. So I mean, the vibes were not good, but there's a lot of opportunity for them to get better in the near future.
Because after Chivas, it's Cruz Azul in eighth, Monterrey 13, sorry, with 13 points. In 10th place is Xolos with 11, and so do we have 11 points, and we're in 11th. Santos also has 11. Querétaro also has 11. So it's like just you get these like little section which is like very close, and like you said, like from where Chivas is to us, it's only 3 points. But yeah, I mean, after that, obviously we have the Querétaro, the Mazatlan, Pachuca. I mean, the Pachuca and the Cruz Azul are typical teams you wouldn't see in the position that they are. Obviously, Querétaro viene de ganarle Cruz Azul, which, you know, was just a major shock. So I don't know. Shout out to Carlos, who couldn't make it this pod. But I'm going to ask Carlos on our chat, like, Carlos, do you think this Querétaro game could be a trap game for León? Just in the simple aspect, obviously, no venimos a ganar, ellos también, you know, against Cruz Azul, because I mean, they haven't been that great, but obviously no les quita de ser Cruz Azul. But I mean, I agree. I think there is possibility of points there. I think we just have to take it game by game, because like you said, Louis, anything can happen. Maybe a team that's doing so well right now, I might say, you know what, it's probably going to be a tough game, and then later on be like, you know what, I think we're good, because that's how Liga MX is nowadays, and it's always been like that.
I don't think there are trap games right now. Because I don't. I mean,
Not
if
the
you saw,
Querétaro game.
I don't think there are trap games for this team right now because this team is not on any kind of roll. Like it's a trap game when you're on a roll, you're doing well, and then you underestimate an opponent. This team isn't underestimating anybody right now. I mean, if you heard Cota's comments after he had a press conference, I don't know if it was yesterday, it might have even been today. And they asked him about it, and he's like, "Este resultado no tapa, o sea, lo que ha pasado en esta temporada." But he's not. This result isn't. There's nobody in that locker room who thinks that the situation is fixed because of this 1-0 victory at Tijuana. And yeah, I don't think they're overlooking. I mean, a trap game is when you're overlooking the opponent. There ain't nobody overlooking any opponent right now.
Well, I think I guess I'm not talking about on the outside, but I guess what happens on the field. You know what I mean? Porque a veces we see que lo dejan jugar mucho. We have opportunities that we can make it, but then sometimes I feel we like kind of slack off a bit until we get hit with a goal, and then it's like the reaction time. That's more what I'm talking about. Okay, maybe they get into their head a bit when they're like managing the game. They hold possession. They're like, oh, we got this. And we create so many opportunities, but we can't make it back soon. And then we're like, kind of back off, try and keep possession, trying to back off the gas pedal. But then they make a goal, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not going to be an easy match. But I can just think of so many occasions playing at Querétaro. We almost always win there, and every time we do, it's usually like a pivotal turning point win in the season. I remember in the temporada de las 12 victorias, we started the season out with 2 draws and a loss. Then go to Querétaro, win 4-0. And that was the first of the 12 victorias. And that completely turned the season around. After that, after we won that game big, didn't look back. The very next season, we also win. We had started the season off a little bit shaky. Go to Querétaro, who had been playing really, really well. I think they were ahead of us in the table at that point. We get a big win there, also 4-0. Go on a big run and finish second in the table. Obviously get eliminated prematurely from Liguilla. We won't discuss that, but we went on a big run after that. And then last season, a match I was fortunate to attend behind closed doors at La Corregidora with shout out to Paco Vela, friend of the show. See, that had kind of been a shaky season to that point. Got a big 3-0 win, and then the season kind of turned around. We went on the big Conca Champions run after that. So yeah, I just think of all these times we've gone to Querétaro, to La Corregidora to play, get a big win there, and it completely turns the season around.
Yeah.
So I think go there, get a nice comfortable win or a nice resounding dominating win. That could mean big things for our season, and I think the guys are aware of that.
I agree. Arturo on the chat said when JJ Macias racked up a brace that game against Querétaro.
That was Macias's coming out party. He actually had a big goal in the next game we played there in the Apertura season too. But yeah, like nobody knew JJ Macias. He scored a brace in that Jornada 4, the first of the 12 victorias, and And I still remember the comment. I didn't hear it in real time because I was at the match, but I remember the commentary on Imagen TV after that. Sí hay delanteros en México, pero hay que darles oportunidad. I still remember that. Yeah, that was his coming out party, and he didn't look back after that either. Yeah, I remember that.
That was
The
definitely
first goal. The
beginning
first
of
goal
that.
was a header from Pedro Aquino. Then Mena had one from a tight angle, and then the brace from Macias. Yeah, those were the four.
Oh, the JJ era. Okay, quickly recap of the Jornada 9 that started last Friday. Juarez losing to Atlas 2-1. San Luis beating Mazatlan 3-2, and Puebla losing to Pumas 2-0. Luis, did you watch any of those Viernes Botanero games?
I did not watch the Viernes Botanero games because I had a concert to play. So it's very hard for me to watch Viernes Botanero, except on those rare occasions where I don't have a concert on Friday. And Leon isn't playing on Friday.
Yeah.
Which Leon is playing on Friday this time. Fortunately, I weaseled my way out of the concert, so I will be able to attend that match.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 games happened on Friday. Then obviously we had our match versus Xolos. We won 1-0. 0-0 draw, Chivas versus Pachuca, and the Clásico Regiomontano ended in a 3-0 to Tigres. I was watching that game. I was like, what's going on with Monterrey? I mean, they just beat us, and then
that was surprising. Well, yeah, they beat us with a little bit of help, but yes.
Yeah.
But we won't get into that. Thankfully, though, we did not get that victory. Sobre la Mesa, Chivas didn't either. If that had happened, I would have lost. I'll be honest with you. I would have lost all faith in the competitive integrity of Liga MX.
I mean, and I know you and I had the conversation when the whole thing with the Leon Monterrey. I just think it can be a bit of a clown show just because like stuff coming out, like no one really checks anything until someone does. And then I feel like after like the Puebla,
Xolos.
what was that game? Xolos, right? After that, it's like I feel like
extra points. There's 3 extra points they don't deserve. That's the only reason they're anywhere in our vicinity.
Well, I feel like after that and after like our game and like I feel like this for the rest of the season, it's going to be like hawk eyes on like everything that happens just to try to see if people can win Puntos en la Mesa because you know what I mean? So
yeah,
hopefully our team is very due diligent. We don't have to run into a situation, but I think, it's just stuff that I just don't understand because they're the ones that make the rules, but no one's really like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's parece cheesecake sometimes.
I mean, there's a bunch of these ticky-tack rules too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I mean, when I don't remember what the situation was with Puebla and Xolos, like why that was an alineación indebida.
Puebla had someone on the bench that wasn't registered according to that, he was there and he wasn't actually registered. That wouldn't allow him to be on the bench. And that's what they fought for.
Yeah. Well, technically, that should have been the case. That should have been the case with this Chivas Mazatlan match too. But that was the fault of the Comisión Disciplinaria because it's their responsibility to let the teams know who is and who isn't available.
And that's what I mean. Like, it's like silly stuff like that. Like, to me, it's like, okay, in the Puebla game, don't they go like a checklist or like, okay, who are you? Boom, boom, boom. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
There should be one auxiliar, like whose basically only job is to take care of that kind of stuff, like the logistical stuff.
Housekeeping stuff. Yeah, it's like just general stuff. And then, I'm just not surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, though, if the player doesn't participate in the match, then there shouldn't be discussions about whether there should be points taken away. That's my opinion. Like, for example, like in the semifinal, was it Atlas versus Tigres? Where Tigres had an alineación indebida because they played with too many foreigners at one time. Now that's a more serious issue, I think.
I think all in all, as long as they wrote it and it's in the book, they have to, you know what I mean?
And in the situation with Tecatito, like he saw minutes in that match against us. He came into the match and played in that match with a number that he shouldn't be using. Like that's more serious than a guy who, yes, shouldn't have been allowed to suit up because of not being registered or because of yellow card accumulation that wasn't notified.
The Puebla one wasn't a player. It was just someone from like the part of the cuerpo técnico or part of like, not a player. It was just someone else that because they register them as well as they do the players who's allowed on the bench and who isn't. I just think that at the end of the day, the thing that's just funny to me is that they make the rules, right? So you expect everybody to respect the rules. But like, for example, the whole thing with Monterrey, it's in the rules, but they came out saying like, oh, well, we authorized it. I'm like, well, there's just these little loopholes that are going to come in and out whenever it's more convenient. Like, that's what's funny to me. Like, it's just like, okay. Just like the same thing with I just lost his name. The guy that was coach for the Sub-23 for la Selección Mexicana, he just got the job. And then obviously Puebla needed a coach, and they were like, oh, we're going to go after him. And La Federación did a whole farewell post to him, and it was like, oh, it says here that you can't join the same tournament. I'm like, but didn't they authorize it? Like, it's just, stuff like that. It's very tedious housekeeping stuff that I think they should just respect it. If you wrote it, respect. If you want to like take the rule out, take the rule out. But I don't know.
There was also was it Atlas who won points sobre la mesa over America, or was it the other way around?
I think America won, and I was like, I think a couple seasons ago.
I don't remember what the reason for that was.
Let me see. I think you're right. I think it was America. I know it was America versus Atlas. Puntos, reducidos?
Yeah.
Because I think it was a
Atlas.
couple.
It was Atlas who won the match. They lost the match, but they won it. They won the points sobre la mesa because I don't know.
Of Maravillas.
Why.
It says por alineación de vida de Federico Viñas. Yeah. That was 2021. Yeah, it was a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yes, these are things I don't remember like ever happening, and then it happened like 5 times in a span of a few tournaments. It's strange.
Yeah, it was American Valley lineup. Yeah, it was Maravillas. We just looked that up. But anyways, moving along then. Let's see, what game were we on? Yeah, so Clásico Regio ended up Tigre a favor de Tigres 3-0. The Toluca America game, they drew 1-1. Obviously, Toluca had a red card. Then it was
amid rumors of Nacho Ambriz being courted by Costa Rica again.
Really? I didn't see that.
I don't know if you saw that, and then I believe he acknowledged that there had been acercamientos.
I did not see that. I think I probably missed that news.
And we all know that it is his dream to direct a national team. So we'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes if you last.
And I feel like his paso por Toluca has been disappointing. In spite, I mean, they put up some pretty good results, and they made it to the final. They made it to the final against Pachuca. Yeah. But I mean, I think more was expected. I think they're going in the wrong direction. So that could be an interesting situation.
I think it's a bit of both. I think he's had good moments. Obviously with the freedom. That season after, he was like just getting players left and right. But yeah, it's been good and it's been bad. I think I expected more, but obviously with that final, I mean, he couldn't do much with the goalie aspect. Querétaro beating Cruz Azul 3-1. A very interesting win there, and obviously the Necaxa 5-2 win versus Santos, which I was at, and it was interesting. I had you messaging me later. I had a couple other people message me like, "Are you like you're there, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like watching the game live. Like I'm seeing everything go down. It was interesting. I mean, attendance was not the best.
Well, I imagine it wasn't the best to begin with, just because Necaxa is not a big draw, and the season's been kind of up and down. And then I imagine that a lot of people probably left early.
A lot of people left. A lot of people left early, and it was just something that I was like, as soon as the second goal hit, I was like, this is gonna end bad. Like va a ser goliza. Like huele y apesta golista, and that's what happened. Obviously, Santos came back with 2 goals, one with penalty, but it was honestly towards the end a game where where Santos was just very unlucky because of the weird bounces that would happen, like in the area on the goal, that they should have gone in, didn't go in. It was a game that you could possibly see Santos like if it was a different night with different luck, it probably would have been almost a 5-5. I don't know, draw. It was something insane.
Well, yeah, nobody questions Santos's attacking capabilities. Don't they have isn't Preciado the goleador del torneo right now? I think he is.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's always been and has been obvious the challenge, which is the defensive line as well as the goalie, because obviously Acevedo has been out injured. He's expected to come back at the end of the season, which would definitely help them, but we'll see what kind of situation they are now. But you can say Santos is probably a dumpster fire in a way as well, just because of
Defensively, yeah.
yeah, but I think I don't know if you saw, but they had a press conference that lasted less than a minute with like all the players were like on Monday were like on the stage, and Granada gave a just like, oh, we acknowledge the results, we're gonna work hard, blah blah blah. They took no questions and they all left walking.
I didn't see
Um,
that.
so
They
I think
haven't
there's
fired
something.
they haven't fired the manager yet, have they?
No, no. What's worse about what happened on Sunday is that Eduardo Fentanes, which is técnico de Santos before they got Repeto, is now the coach Necaxa. So obviously he came back with Necaxa and beat Santos, his ex
Yeah.
team. So obviously the people weren't happy, but nevertheless, we'll see how their season ends up, and we'll see if Necaxa picks up. That was their first win of the season, and they
What a
also
way
I
to
don't know
get
how
it.
many other games. Exactly. The other match that was played that I got a message. I was out getting ice cream and I got a message. You're like, "Go Mazatlan." I was like, "Oh, Chivas is losing."
Yeah. They lost bad, which is why I was going to be so angry.
3-1.
I was going to be so angry if that result got reversed sobre la mesa. I was going to be livid if that happened. And to their credit,
3-1.
I was seeing a bunch of Chivas fans who were hoping that didn't happen just because they didn't want to win that way. They were thinking, no, we did not deserve to win that game in any
It
way,
was going to
shape, or
be a
form.
3-0, right? Just because
Yeah,
Piojo scored at the 96th minute.
Piojo got one late.
Ooh, that would have been more of a statement, like 3-0. Anyways, tomorrow, pues looking into Jornada 10, tomorrow juega Atlas versus Puebla. Obviously, our Viernes Botanero game, there will be 3 games. There will be the Querétaro León at 7 Mexico time, San Luis Cruz Azul. That will be an interesting one because Cruz Azul is in shambles and San Luis is dominating. So
Yeah,
that'd be a good Viernes Botanero game. And also
I still
classic
think
Xolos Juárez.
I still don't believe in San Luis. They might finish in the top 4. They're like Puebla style back in, I don't remember, when a couple years ago. I don't remember what it was. Puebla surprised everybody and finished in the top 4 and then had a quick exit.
Yeah.
Had a quick exit in cuartos.
I was gonna say you're probably waiting for them to flop like the first moment that they have to play in the game.
Once they get on a stage, even if they're even if they have leg 2 at home or whatever, they have the higher seed advantage. They're gonna come up against a team that just has more experience in those moments, and they're gonna get I don't know about boat raced, but they're gonna get eliminated.
We'll definitely see what happens then.
I would love for that team to be León, first of all, because that's an easy trip, and second of all, because I just have a bad taste in my mouth. I think that game could have, if Perro doesn't get sent off in that match, I think there's a very different result there.
Yeah, very unfortunate match. Very frustrating. I was so pissed. Yes, Xolos Juárez ending that Friday. Viernes Botanero game Saturday. Pachuca Necaxa also be a good game. Necaxa coming off a good win. Pachuca is just lost. Then obviously we have the America Pumas on a Saturday, which would be the only. Oh no, was it the only? Oh no, Saturday the same one. So Saturday, it's a weird time. It's 6:40 Mexico time. America Pumas, and then it's Mazatlan Tigres at 7. And it's the Monterrey Santos at 7. I'm thinking because the Canelo fight's supposed to be this weekend. That's why.
Oh yeah,
I
I don't.
think some games are kind of moved around just because
I
they
don't.
announce it so much that I'm like, is it this week already?
I don't really keep up with the boxing.
And Sunday, Toluca and Chivas also should be a good game. So that's kind of what is ahead. Then we have a doble jornada, so we'll definitely be back to talk about the next upcoming games in doble jornada.
Absolutely.
Um, okay, let's go ahead. Lou, you want to go prediction time?
Sure. Yeah. Short and
It's
sweet.
short and sweet. Let's do it.
Prediction time.
All right, Louis, you will be in attendance.
I will be in attendance. I'll be honest, I'm a little anxious about it. Oh, I know that La Corregidora has been open again to fans for several months, and they've had a few high-profile matches there. Cruz Azul has played there, America has played there, and lleno total. And as far as I know, there haven't been any incidents, at least none that I've heard of. But I'm still a little bit anxious. I know that the Querétaro fans view this as a clásico. I know we don't view it as a clásico, but they do. So I know our porra will not be there, at least not in bola. So I think that should help keep things a little bit calmer. But I'm a little bit anxious about being there as a fact. Obviously, I went there last season, but behind closed doors, it was completely different. So yeah, I'm a little anxious for that. Hopefully, there are no incidents, no violence. Di no a la violencia en el fútbol mexicano, please. And yeah, I think this is an interesting game. Obviously, Querétaro's coming off of a pretty big win. Who was it that they beat again?
Querétaro, San Luis.
Yeah,
I mean, Cruz Azul. Sorry, Cruz Azul.
yeah. They beat Cruz Azul in the Azteca. That's right.
3-1. Yeah.
Again, Cruz Azul is an absolute dumpster fire. But obviously, Querétaro took care of business, and they took care of business away against a dumpster fire of a team. This hasn't been our best season either, so we can't get overconfident. I do think Leon just always plays well in La Corregidora, though. That we always go there and have a good game, almost always. And I think the team is hungry for this result. So I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think we're going to go in there and get a 2-0.
Okay, 2-0 Leon. So Luis says 2-0 Leon. Arturo Ruiz in the chat said 2-1 Leon win. I'm gonna go with the 2-2 draw, just in hopes
okay.
that they win. I want them to win, of course. I guess I'm just trying to be a little, conservative. I mean, I did say we were going to lose against Monterrey, and that happened, unfortunately.
Not the way you thought, though.
Not the way I thought, but I still thought we were going to lose at the end of the day. I think I said 2-1.
That was just such a frustrating game.
It was very frustrating. I think we could win, of course. But in the end, I think both teams are fighting. So I think possibly could be a draw 2-2 as well. So hopefully not. Hopefully they win. That's what we all want. But yeah, so those were our predictions. 2 wins and a draw for these 3 people, including Arturo. Carlos, we will get Carlos's prediction, and then next time we pod, we'll definitely share it. As next pod, we'll have to do doble jornada, which Leon's not that great when it comes to doble jornadas. So we'll see if that changes, right, Louis?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
We'll see if that changes. But Louis, anything else before we take off?
Hang on a minute. There is a doble jornada, but Leon is not participating in it.
Why not?
We do not have a midweek match before the match against Santos.
Oh.
I don't know.
Why is that?
I don't know why, but that.
Oh, because our match.
That match will get pushed back to October 24th at home against Atlas. Yeah.
I wonder what.
I don't know.
That's weird. Because then there's, oh no, this is from making up. So Juárez San Luis will also be making up their Jornada Once game, October 25th. I don't know. I think League's Cup definitely kind of ruined some things around, shuffle things around.
Yeah, but I don't think that was the reason. I don't know why. I don't know, but that'll be
Okay,
well. Actually, it
even
won't really
better.
affect us because well, it won't really
No,
affect us because Santos isn't playing midweek either.
no. I guess what I'm looking at, so that the other game we're making up is the 24th, and then we play 4 days after away at Cruz Azul the 28th.
Yeah, that's right.
The 20. So are we still playing midweek though? 24th is a Tuesday, and then Saturday the 28th. So 20, yeah. So we'll play
So we'll
a
we'll
quote
have
unquote.
essentially we'll have
Mhm.
we'll have the doble jornada, but it gets pushed back a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, anyways, besides that, we'll definitely get back and see what this game ended, and we'll definitely preview the Santos game next week. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you everybody that joined us. Arturo Ruiz, thank you so much for being in the comments, sharing everything there, and keeping the conversation going. Everybody on YouTube and Twitter, thank you guys for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. We'll see what happens this weekend. Viernes Botanero, lots of games. So yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm losing it. For tuning in. We'll see you guys next week on another episode of the Lions Den Podcast.
Peace.